It's now 10 o'clock Mountain Time. I started my day at 8:30 in the morning Pacific Time, and I'm still not at my destination yet. This video is part 2 of a 2-part series. In part 1, my intention was to fly from Spokane to LAX to Reno. I was so excited to bring Los Angeles International Airport to my channel, and I eagerly boarded my Embraer 175 in Spokane to get there. Everything seemed normal until the pilot mistakenly said we were going to Vegas, and then after de-icing, a message about an oil filter bypass popped up on the pilot's computer, so we had to return to the gate. This changed my 8:30 a.m. departure from Spokane into a 5 p.m. departure to my new connecting airport, Salt Lake City. After a whole day of waiting in Spokane, I finally made it to Salt Lake City so I can take the last flight of the night to Reno, Nevada. My Boeing 737-800 is leaving from the B gates at Salt Lake City today, and I'm in the underground tunnel that connects the A and B gates. It's a long walk from where I started, but I'm happy to get to where I need to be today because I had a really long day. These pastries look tempting, but I'll pass for now. There are a lot of people waiting to board this 737, which first flew in 2001. Delta 737-800s have a capacity of 160 passengers with 16 seats in first, 36 in Comfort Plus, and 108 in main cabin. Reno, here I come. Flight 2652 is going to take me to the biggest little city in the world, or as the flight crew would say, I'm just going to Reno. This 737-800 has 2 wing-mounted CFM turbofan engines. This aircraft is just over 129 feet long and has a wingspan of just over 117 feet and is part of the 737 Next Generation family. I got lucky to get a window seat because I had been rebooked on this flight after a reroute earlier today. Today, my seat is 2A in the first class cabin. I finally settled into my seat for the flight to Reno. The IFE, or in-flight entertainment screens on this plane are much smaller than what you'd find on the rest of Delta's fleet, but it really doesn't matter to me since my form of entertainment is using my phone to track my flight, but I still made sure that I had the flight tracker up. The windows on Boeing aircraft are big, and I can't wait for the lights to be dimmed so I can see out. I just see myself now while looking out. And with that, the gate agent removed the jet bridge from the boarding door so we can get started. In the cabin, the safety video overrides anything you might be watching on the TV screen, but it's an important video to watch. During the safety video, the interior cabin lights are kept on, but once it's over and the flight attendants do their final safety walkthrough of the cabin, the lights are turned off. This is done for safety reasons as it allows your eyes to acclimate to the lighting outside, especially if an evacuation is necessary. And of course, I like it dark inside so I don't get reflections on the window from the interior lights. The tug pushed us back onto the ramp, and within a few minutes we contacted Salt Lake City Ground Control for taxi instructions onto Taxiway Echo, then Taxiway Alpha, to ultimately wind up at runway 34 left for departure. It's dark outside, but the green centerline lights help the pilot point the aircraft on the center of the taxiways.
We'll be on our only flight test for the go for departure.
Once we get closer to the runway, the ground controller instructs us to switch frequencies to the runway or local controller, who immediately issues takeoff clearance for us. The pilot ensures that the forward lights are turned on and then applies throttle on the 12,000-foot-long runway. We are off to Reno. Once airborne, we fly a standard departure procedure called the Desert 1 departure, which calls for a left-hand turn. This turn, for flights headed to the west, keeps us away from populated areas and brings us toward the Great Salt Lake around the vicinity of the southern portion of Antelope Island. A look behind our 737 gives us a view of the runway that we took off from. The departure controller watches our flight on radar as we're clear to higher altitudes. It's a calm and beautiful evening in Utah as we parallel Interstate 80 off of our left side on the south shore of the Great Salt Lake. Interstate 80 is the second longest highway in the USA, running from New Jersey to California. Our flight is a lot shorter than that today, and our total travel time is about an hour and a half. While over the lake, we leave the city area behind and talk to the Air Route Traffic Control Center as we reach our cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. We head towards Battle Mountain, Nevada, and eventually join an arrival procedure called the Waddle 2 Arrival, which approaches Reno from the northeast. Once we get closer to the Reno area, the center asks us to contact the approach controller. The approach controller is located in Northern California at a facility called NorCal Approach. Here's our pilot checking in with NorCal Approach while descending through 18,200 feet after being told to do so by the previous controller.
NorCal Delta 2652, passing 18.2, descending via the Waddle 2.
Delta 2652, NorCal Approach, advises Quebec, plan ILS, runway 3 for left.
Yeah, Quebec, go plan 3 for left, ILS, Delta 2652.
When the pilot checked in, the controller wanted to ensure that he has the current airport conditions, which is currently labeled Quebec, and that we should plan on an instrument landing system approach to runway 34 left. Our pilot acknowledges that, and shortly thereafter, the controller asks us to turn, descend, and keep the speed up.
Delta 2652, fly heading of 180, it's vectors for the ILS, descend and maintain 11,000. Keep your speed up.
Hey, 180 down to 11,000, Delta 2652.
Delta 2652, if you could keep your speed up for the time being, going to put you in front of our arrival, arriving from the south.
Will do.
The controller wants to get us in quick. I can't see out because the flight attendants put the lights on for their safety check, and the controller then comes back again to provide some more weather information.
Delta 2652, there's been reports of light rime between 10 and 8 along the final and moderate turbulence below 14 associated with clouds that are out there.
Thank you, Delta 2652.
Rime icing is ice that forms on the plane when passing through clouds, so we need to be prepared for that, and the controller was right about the turbulence. It was bumpy. The flight attendants finally dimmed the cabin lights, and as I was looking out the window for any sight of land between the clouds, I saw this. Someone aimed a laser at our plane. Here it is again in slow motion. We're looking at a crime here. If one looks directly into a laser, eye damage and even blindness can occur. I feel lucky that I was looking at it through my camera lens and not with my naked eyes. Whoever is doing this on the ground is committing a crime and can face very strong penalties. At that point, the pilot immediately reported it to ATC.
Approach Delta 2652, we're getting a laser shining at us, probably about 3 miles due to the east of us.
Delta 2652, roger, you said green laser, did it illuminate the cockpit, any injuries?
No injuries, and it's still going, and it looks like they're pointing it kind of towards us and just in a rapid motion.
Okay, and just to confirm, it's 3 miles east of you.
Correct. I'd probably say that it's a little more northeast.
Delta 2652, roger, turn right heading 190.
Hey, 190, Delta 2652.
Delta 2652, normal speed.
Normal speed, Delta 2652.
The pilot did the right thing by reporting the laser to ATC. Whoever shined the laser at us put us in harm's way, and a single direct look into the beam could have serious consequences. ATC then provided us with a heading to the left to get set up for the approach and also told us what to do just in case we lose communication capability.
Delta 2652, turn right heading 250. In the event of lost comms, with the 34 left localizer, descend and maintain 10,000.
250 heading in, was that down to 10,000, Delta 2652?
Delta 2652, affirmative.
Okay. Down to 10,000, Delta 2652.
2652, if we lost comm, join the 34 left localizer.
Okay, it's Logcom, we'll join 34 left localizer, Delta 2652.
Fortunately, we never lost communication capability, and the controller cleared us for the approach to the runway at 12 miles southeast of EPOS, which is a location on the instrument landing system about 12 miles before touchdown. We've got about 24 miles left to go.
Delta 2652, you are 12 miles from EPOS, you're running 310, maintain 900,000 until established on the localizer, cleared ILS runway 34 left approach.
310, down to 9,000, so established cleared ILS for 34 left approach, Delta 2652.
Once we got closer to the airport, we were asked to contact the control tower at the Reno-Tahoe International Airport, and just after being told to switch frequencies, the controller made a general announcement to all other aircraft on the frequency about the laser.
Delta 2652, contact Reno Tower 18.7.
Or Tower Delta 2652.
Attention aircraft unauthorized laser illumination event 20 miles southeast of Reno. Laser was green, ported by a 737 at 11,000.
It's very important that other aircraft in the area are made aware of the situation so they don't look directly into the laser. For us, we're clear of the danger and we're going to contact the control tower now.
Tower Delta 2652, ILS for 34 left.
Delta 2652, Reno Tower, wind com, runway 34 left, cleared land.
34 left, clear land, Delta 2652.
You heard how the approach controller was the only controller who dealt with the laser since that event occurred in his airspace. The tower controller at the Reno airport handles a smaller airspace directly surrounding the airport and at a lower altitude. And since the laser was far from the airport, there are no more communications regarding the laser. Fortunately, we were one of the last flights to land at Reno for the evening, but I hope that whoever was committing this crime on the ground ceased what they were doing immediately. There were no injuries on my flight, and as far as I know, only the flight deck crew and I noticed it. For now, it's business as usual. We are fully established on the instrument landing system after having joined the final approach course from a right-hand turn. There's no one ahead of us, and we are cleared to land on runway 34 left, a runway that's parallel to runway 34 right. We're approaching the airport from the south, and the city of Reno is ahead of us and to the left. The wind is calm, as reported by the control tower, and unlike earlier in the descent, no bumps are felt. The runway is in front of us, our gear is down, our flaps are set, and we are all ready to make a safe landing on runway 34 left. As we get closer to the airport, the city lights grow in intensity. Reno is known as the biggest little city in the world. It has a population of over 240,000 and is known for its casinos. The Reno-Tahoe International Airport, as its name suggests, is also a gateway for Lake Tahoe, which is located in both Nevada and California. A car ride from the airport to the closest part of Lake Tahoe is about 45 minutes. As we get closer to the runway, we can see some of the large casinos. The Atlantis Hotel Casino is the building illuminated in red, and just behind it, illuminated in white, is the Peppermill Hotel Casino. The landscape is stunning here, and a day approach would afford great views of the mountains, but since I'm about 8 hours delayed, this view will have to suffice. We're now over the airport property. Runway 34 left has a displaced threshold, which means we won't be touching down at the beginning of the runway, but just slightly past the beginning. This runway is 11,001 feet long and is at an elevation of 4,415 feet above sea level. The parallel runway off to our right is 9,000 feet long. There's also a crossing runway which has a length of just 6,102 feet. With the long runway length, the pilot applied braking gently as the airline terminal is near the end of the runway and there was no traffic behind us. The controller in the tower asked us to turn left on taxiway Delta and contact the ground controller, also in the tower.
Delta 2652, turn left at Delta, contact ground point 9.
Alright, we'll hang a left and ground point 9 for Delta 2562.
Right before we contacted the ground controller in Reno, the flight attendant made a welcome announcement.
It's our pleasure to welcome you to Reno, where the local time is 11:24. We've experienced a 1-hour time change. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened and your carry-on items stowed until the aircraft departs the gate.
As instructed by the tower controller, we turned left onto taxiway Delta and contacted ground on point 9er, a shorthand way to identify the ground control frequency. The ground controller will give us instructions on how to get to the ramp.
Ground Delta 2562 is clear of the left side. Delta 2652, Reno ground taxi to the ramp by Alpha.
Alright, to the ramp, Alpha, Delta 2562.
And with the instruction to take taxiway Alpha to the ramp, we were at the airline terminal ramp just a few short minutes after landing. At nighttime, the airport is very quiet, and our gate was open and ready to receive the 737-800 after its short flight from Salt Lake City. The flight is now complete. I have finally made it to Reno, Nevada, after a very, very long journey. You know you're in Nevada when many of the ads feature local casinos. Reno is a gambling city, and the airport makes that very clear from the moment you step off the plane all the way to baggage claim. It is 11:40 at night, West Coast time, Pacific time. I started my day at 8:30 in the morning, but I'm happy to know that I've arrived safely here in Nevada. What a long day that was. I was very tired, but made it to the complimentary hotel shuttle with its blue interior lights for the very quick ride over to my hotel. Well, what a night that was. That was a crazy, crazy day. It started off really, really early in the morning. I was expecting to go to LAX, get some great footage of the airport at LAX. Didn't happen. Went to Salt Lake City instead, and it is now after midnight, and I finally checked into my hotel room here in Reno. Crazy, crazy night. When I was on approach to the Reno airport, I saw lasers off of the left-hand side of the aircraft, so I just happened to be filming that at the time, and I actually spoke to the pilot right before I got off the airplane, and I actually sent him a copy of the video because that seems like it's a pretty serious issue. I've heard many stories where people are pointing lasers at airplanes, and it can even blind the pilots, so whoever's pointing lasers at airplanes, that is not a good thing. I hope I was able to do something to help find these people who are actually pointing the laser at the aircraft. Well, anyway, it's been a long day. I'd like to thank you all so very much for traveling with me today from Spokane to Reno, not via LAX, via Salt Lake City as unintended, but hey, I made it here. It's super, super late. I've got to get to bed. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, please consider subscribing to my channel. I've got tons of great content for you. And if you are a subscriber, well, thank you so much for your support. I've got a lot more videos coming up. I'm here in Reno because I want to make a video about AHA Airlines. It's a brand new airline that just started based here in Reno, and I've got a ticket on an AHA flight, so you'll be seeing that video pretty soon. Thanks, everybody.